It's a government communication headquarters, so it's the British government's arm of intelligence gathering via sort of digital means. So it's basically monitoring communications come in and out of the UK.
The UK's sister of the NSA, which is the National Security Agency.
Yeah, it's the American version of what we have.
People don't realise that it's used as a monitoring system. People just think that that's the new great thing, that I can change my channel just with my voice.
Everything you think is a neat electronic device like OnStar or something like that in your car.
This is OnStar. How may I help you?
It's powerful technology that connects you to a real person 24 hours a day.
That's nice, but they can also turn it on to listen to you. If you're using Skype, gee, that can be reversed. They can look at you too.
Where's safe? Like literally, where can you have a private conversation anymore? Like,
Not
even in your living room. Like the Xbox One, the new Xbox One, the camera is on all the time. There is literally nowhere you can go. You go outside, you got CCTV cameras and police. You go inside your own house, and you got cameras and microphones. We're so dependent on almost like a monopoly of technology companies between Apple and Samsung and
Sony, Toshiba, whatever.
People are always going to want the next phase of a TV, the next phase of a games console, and they can put whatever the hell they damn well like in it.
Exactly.
On this thing, for instance, I got an iPad 1, right? It's so old now that they won't let me have the next iOS, which means eventually everything's going to start dying on it. Like, companies are capable of killing your technology from a distance, just with their just with their corporate policy,
so that you pay
and ultimately
to have yourself
no one
under
cares
surveillance.
as well.
And ultimately, it's for your own good. It's for your own security.
Absolutely.
Because we know where you are, and therefore we can track you and protect you.
We'll keep you safe from your living room. What is that?
It goes against human rights when you think about it.
Our global movements right now, I mean, they're movements by the young, and that's what's creating change. If you look at Hong Kong right now, if you look at movements like occupying the Arab Spring, they're movements of young people. So in Occupy, actually, there are countless cases of students being monitored. You had police officers in New York infiltrating the protests, going undercover, posing as organizers. You had cases of people being followed, of being watched, of the press being blocked from filming.
So what exactly gets us flagged?
If like a student, for instance, is doing a bit of research on Al-Shabaab or any other sort of like Islamic fundamentalist group, you find yourself on a website that's affiliated with that, you are going to move up. You're going to move higher up the suspicion list. Like if you find yourself for any reason on WikiLeaks, if you're curious about what Edward Snowden was up to, or if you want to learn about Julian Assange or the other whistleblowers, Chelsea Manning, like you find yourself on any one of these websites, you're going to move up a list. It's hard to say that there are actually anybody who's safe from these systems.
In order to figure out what to get from that worldwide communications, you had to graph it. We call it graphing, is building relationships, social network. It's like reconstructing the social network of everybody communicating in the world.
Who were you last seen with? And who are your friends? And who have you talked to lately? And what purchases are you making? When you assemble all of this, I can find out an extraordinary amount of information about you.
I can show your electronic life over time. Everything you did. If I had the GPS on it, I'd have everything you did, everywhere you were when you did it.
There's a bigger picture. What it's about. You know, is it stopping terrorism? David Cameron, calling for greater powers, said,
"The attacks in Paris once again demonstrated the scale of the terrorist threat that we face and the need to have robust powers through our intelligence and security agencies and policing in order to keep our people safe."
So the men behind the Charlie Hebdo murders were on watch lists already. These organisations knew that these people were suspicious. They knew that they could be a threat. The same thing goes for the Boston bombers or the Lee Rigby murder. You know, after the Charlie Hebdo incident, Edward Snowden, the man who proved to the world the extent of these surveillance programs in the US, UK and beyond, said, "France passed one of the most intrusive, expansive surveillance laws in all of Europe last year, and it didn't stop the attack."
If we're missing things like the Boston Marathon bombings, where all of these mass surveillance systems, every domestic dragnet in the world didn't reveal guys that the Russian intelligence service told us about by name, is that really the best way to protect our country
If it's only about terrorism, why are the United States and the United Kingdom spying on the United Nations, looking into global warming conferences, looking into allied countries such as Germany, and looking into the work of journalism?
I don't think these are easy answers. I really don't. My fear is, what can this information be used for what other purposes? If all of that information is reassembled simply by profiling and searches, what could they know about you? And what happens if it's misidentified? Or what happens if I draw different conclusions from the data when in fact it's not true? I mean, data can be manipulated. I mean, I'm a living case of that, where the government framed me. They wanted the data to be a certain way for the convenience of charging me as a criminal. And so I was literally data framed.
I mean, there's also the fear that you don't look up these things now because you don't want to look up, you don't want to move up that list, and that's definitely a terrifying thing. Because I mean, having an uneducated population is probably the worst thing.
The key thing about information is how powerful it is.
Right.
It means that you can use fear to generate any kind of political program you want. If you want another war, to seize another country, to invade another country, to seize whatever assets they have, they're out to bomb us. They're out to kill us.
Yeah,
all that stuff. And it works.
So what do you say to someone who might say...
It's an old cliche, if you've got nothing to hide, nothing frightened of.
Well, there's an element of truth in that, in the sense that if you've never done anything and never said anything, then you have nothing to fear. True. If you're completely mute, then it's great. I mean, you have nothing whatsoever to worry about. And if you think everything is wonderful, and we live in the best of all possible worlds, they love you. They're hardly going to worry about you. But if you say something like, "What a jerk that politician was," suddenly you're interesting. And once the red lights go on the panel, then you know,
Where do you draw the line between your own individual freedom and living in a place which has security?
None of us, I think, worried about targeted surveillance against people that in a court you could easily argue are dangerous people. They bombed people before, they've killed people. They believe that all women should be struck off or something horrible. You know, you think, well, we can deal with people like that. You target them. You go for them, make sure that they don't commit the crimes that you're worried about. But why are they doing you? I mean, in 1972 and 73, the Echelon Project, they were picking up telephone conversations, telex things, faxes. They were picking up all that stuff and storing it for, 5 minutes? Because they didn't have the memory. Now they've got it for 400 years. And that's all information about you. And if you think that they know every single detail of your life, that's pretty scary.
I think the fear of mass surveillance is so much more of a kind of intellectual fear. Whereas rather than a physical fear, terrorism is like, I don't want to die, and that's a very easy fear to it's an easy fear to understand. If I'm sat next to an unattended bag on a train, there is a part of me that goes, oh my god.